Hello there, very beautiful people of the interwebs. I'm making this video today to say, remember, these are all Yu-Gi-Oh cards from back in the day. If you don't know what that is, then I guess you were a child at the same time I was a child, you know? Which early 2000s, late 90s, mid 2000s. I don't remember exactly when it was I started playing with Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but I remember it was amazing. I think it was in first grade, so I don't want to do the math on that. It was over a decade ago. So yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh cards back in the day used to be the greatest thing ever. Everybody and their grandmother had Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Hell, I bet I never saw one with it, but I'm sure even the teachers had them. Just, that's how cool they were. Everyone had them. A few kids had Pokemon cards. We had a special word for those people. Losers. But it was mostly Yu-Gi-Oh cards in my school. And it was great, you know. For those of you who don't know, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, they're trading cards where you buy a pack. Like, you know, you save up your allowance for like 12 weeks straight, and then you buy for like $5. You can get like 2.5 cards, essentially. It's virtually nothing. And yeah, and then you build up your deck, and then you go out, you can trade your cards with friends, or you can duel them, and you can be like, I play this, and I play that. Sometimes you play for keeps, in which, you know, when you do that, the winner collects one of the loser's cards. And when that happens, tears also happen. I've saw a lot of kids going like, oh, I'm going to play this, and you're going to play, oh. And they just burst into tears. They cry for hours, and I laugh at them. I don't actually, that'd be really weird if I started laughing at children. I was a child too. But no, Yu-Gi-Oh was the best thing ever, but due to all the tears from kids either losing cards, by just, you know, dropping them, forgetting where they left them, or let's say, you know, some kid steals them, or, you know, they give one up in a trade and later on they're like, oh, I want it back. That wasn't for keepsies, was it? Something like that. Because of all that stuff, school banned Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And I remember when I heard the news, I'm like, what? You can ban Yu-Gi-Oh cards? Essentially, I freaked out a lot. I didn't like it. Many other kids didn't like it. Some people conformed. Some people just lay down, put their cards to rest and said, yeah, this is it. But for many people, including myself, Yu-Gi-Oh wasn't just a card game. Yu-Gi-Oh was basically the only social event I had. It's not like I had friends outside of school, you know. All my days consisted of back then was I'd wake up in the morning, go to school. They teach me basically two things, like how to tie my shoes and how to count to 10. Not even joking about that one. One time there was a test where I had to count to 10 in grade 1. I remember that still. Yeah, and then I'd go to school. I'd pretend I had friends. Occasionally I'd flash like Blue Eyes White Dragon or something, and that apparently made people like me. And then I went home and cried because I realized my only friend was Jerome, my imaginary one. Seriously, I had an imaginary friend named Jerome. He was awesome. He was just my shadow. But no, this getting all over the place. Essentially, Yu-Gi-Oh was all I had. I would die for Yu-Gi-Oh. Luckily, the situation never arose because that would be a regret later on, but I was serious about it, and so were many other kids. So some kids did not want to obey the school board's precious little rules. They did not want to just sit there and like stand idly by as their childhood burns in front of them. So you know what they did? They started a black market of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I'm not even joking on this one. There were kids, in my mind, how it went, was there was this big muscly dude named Mitch. He stood in like dark alleyways and corners with a trench coat. You know, the shadows covered his face. You never saw Mitch's face. In fact, it burnt off in the house fire of '93. And then, you know, we'd whip out the trench coat and be like, hey, you want to trade some cards? And you just have a sleeve of cards. It's probably not how it went. It's probably just there was a 7-year-old who took a card out of his pocket. He's like, I'll give you this for that. But the main story is you have to be secretive. Like you check your bag every other second and be like, crap, is Mrs. Henderschmidt there? No. Oh, give me this. And then you run and you never speak again. And if they see you, you kill them. Because snitches get stitches. But no, it was rough. Actually, there was a black market of Yu-Gi-Oh cards at my school. That's how insane it was. Eventually, teachers caught on to this, and it started getting more strict. Like, you start getting detentions. And that stopped most kids right there. At first, they're just like, oh, hey, you can't have Yu-Gi-Oh cards. We're going to take these away, come back at the end of the day. But later on, it was like medieval, like, torture stuff going on. It was rough. I think Jimmy John died. back then. But no, it was fun. Moral of the story. Children in the black market. Can you imagine what it'd be like if we had drugs at that age? That'd be insane. Anyways, that's all I wanted to talk about. Also, Beyblades are awesome, and so are Tamagotchis. I'll talk to you later, and tell me, you know, any nostalgic children's Toy Stories down below. Also, Toy Story, those were great movies. Bye. Talk to you later.